Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today and we are talking about a stealth release. This is the post-apocalyptic game that needs more attention, and that game is State of Decay 2. Now don't get me wrong, State of Decay 2 has an impressive player count, emphasis on count. As of August of 2019, they announced that they surpassed 10 million players, but do keep in mind that State of Decay 2 is a part of the Xbox Game Pass program, and the title is also available for $30. Today we're going to be highlighting the Juggernaut Edition, which just released today, and it is a gigantic overhaul of the original State of Decay 2, which I actually liked and praised in my original review. And when I say overhaul, I mean this is the biggest patch note release I've ever seen, so I just took the highlights. I'm going to be talking about them today alongside my hands-on impressions. So let's get right into it. I know you guys like Fallout. I cover a lot of post-apocalyptic games on the channel. I felt this was a good fit. So what comes with the Juggernaut Edition? Well, first and foremost, it's a free download. So if you're a part of Game Pass, you can get this right away. Or if you already own State of Decay 2, you can get everything that I'm going to list here today, which is pretty bonkers. So all DLC is included. You get the Independence Pack, which is now unlocked after you defeat all the plague hearts in at least one territory. There are multiple territories that you can go to now in State of Decay 2. They have a ton of maps. One of them we'll get into a little bit. One of them has been added in with this very update, and this allows you to sort of keep resetting the playthrough, exploring new locations, alongside changing difficulties depending on how you want to play. And keep in mind, this is all online co-op too, which is really fun. There's also Daybreak, which is unlocked for all players, and there are bonuses offered to people who already have Daybreak. For those who don't know, Daybreak is this zombie siege co-op experience as Undead Labs has described it. It brings in new enemies and weapons, and then you can team up with friends to take on all these various enemies. But I think more interesting for you guys is Heartland, which actually brings you back to the original location of the first State of Decay, which I thought was a really cool idea. So alongside this update, you get that for free. And just like with Daybreak, if you already purchased it or you already owned it, then they are going to reward you for being dedicated to the community. Now, I mentioned that there is another new map in the Juggernaut Edition. It's the one that you've been watching in the background. It's called Providence Ridge. It's described as a town that was in flux during the outbreak, and there's subtle pieces of environmental storytelling peppered throughout the entire map to help build the world. Overall, I like it. I treat these maps as just new playgrounds, new ways to explore. The devs said that one of the goals with this map was to provide more verticality. I can confirm after playing it, a lot more hills, mountainous region, some much more taller structures that you can climb as well. Furthermore, they've added a new combat style with heavy weapons. Now, I'm not a fan of heavy weapons in general in games, especially heavy melee weapons, so I sort of stayed away from this personally. It didn't fit any of the builds of the characters that I had in my base already from when I played this game 2 years ago, so I didn't really tinker with this, but it's good to know that there are multiple styles of play, as there already has been. For those who don't know, as you encounter a survivor and they become a follower and they join your team, they have a set of skills, and as you utilize those skills, they'll gradually level up until you can pick a specialization, and then that kind of brings you up a perk tree that splits, so you make unique decisions to make that survivor stand out from a different one in your camp and make them useful. So one actually may be good at using bladed weapons or shooting, another may be good at heavy weapons. It's all about how you build that character out. And a lot of what makes State of Decay so good, and I'll get into it a little bit deeper down the line, are those moment-to-moment decisions throughout the gameplay. But before that, let's talk about the graphical improvements, the technical overhaul this game also received. One of the biggest sticking points in reviews, and even in my own personal review for State of Decay 2, was that the game did not run that well, and it certainly did not look good. When it came to lighting, shadows especially, good grief, it did not look good. But there have been substantial improvements to, like I said, the graphics, the lighting, textures, draw distance. Overall, this game looks much better. Is it suddenly beautiful? Is it suddenly a looker? No, but there's cool little subtle things, like for example, your character, as their morale starts to go down, they'll get grime and dirt on their face that'll start to develop. So little physical changes like that have been added as well, on top of the general things that you see as you explore the world, like the lighting, the improved textures, the improved draw distance. That type of stuff is there and instantly noticeable, but there's more subtle differences too, and I really like that. So I mentioned how the moment-to-moment gameplay is really what builds up State of Decay, and that's why I really got hooked back into it, because While on the surface, you can look at it and go, oh man, another zombie game. Here we go. I've seen this before, and sure, you can just narrow it down to that if you'd like to, but it's when you're playing it and you're deciding between keeping this additional melee weapon on you that essentially would be a life or death decision, because weapons can break in this, and if you don't have a melee weapon, you're sort of a fish out of water at this point. Shooting can make too much noise if you don't have a suppressor, and in my case, I didn't, so you have to choose between that or wait, I have all this extra food that I need to take to my camp, and I don't have a car nearby now, so I don't have a trunk to store it in, and it just builds up like that. It's all about the decisions that you're making going from point A to point B and trying to make the most of your run. You see, you're not going to be fast traveling all over the map in State of Decay 2. Each run is dedicated as you return to your settlement and go back out into the world. Sometimes your survivor may get fatigued, or maybe they're sick with the blood plague, and you have to tend to them. Suddenly your trip out into the world actually may be cut much shorter than you expected, and you have to bring them back, focus on healing them. Now they can't participate in helping build up the base, adding improvements there to your workshop where you can help change weapons, improve modifications, craft ammunition, or they can't improve the storage area or the infirmary. And see, it branches out like that. It's all about making decisions and watching the little branching repercussions of that. Is it like, we'll say, a really dynamic RPG where there's severe choice and consequence? No, but it's all about the moment-to-moment choices you're making that really build out State of Decay 2 and have made it instantly a game that's hooked me back in, because it runs better, it feels better to play, it controls better. They did remap some of the controls, they added in all of this new content for players such as myself, as well as newcomers or people who are already involved in the Game Pass program, with a new map, all the DLC, a new fighting style. I mean, there's so much there to take in right away. And it's not like, for example, you go into one map and you're stuck there and you got to start a whole new game. You can actually leave that map by taking a road out and it will take you to a new map. Some stuff will carry over, but general improvements to your base and so on will be lost. And I like that you're not going to be stuck in one area and you can go to where you want and keep the experience flowing. So between being able to take your friends into your experience, as well as all of this that's been expanded upon, and I think it's just been a quiet, good time for Microsoft, right? They're ahead in announcing all of the details on their console. They just had the fantastic Ori and the Will of the Wisps release, and now they have a wonderful overhaul that's come out from one of their biggest Game Pass games. I think all of this is a huge win for Microsoft, and I don't know why not a lot of people are talking about it. That's not to say it's not getting coverage, but I think amidst all the releases of Animal Crossing, Doom Eternal, Nioh 2, even Microsoft's own Ori, right? There's so much coming out, it's easy to forget about the game that's getting a free update, essentially. It can easily be brushed under the rug, but if you have not paid attention, I was in the position of forgetting because Carrick had already told me just a couple weeks ago about this update. I had it written down, and immediately all the releases picked up, and I just quickly forgot. And then here I was last night and going, oh wait, it's coming out tomorrow, holy crap. So certainly if I, someone who works in this industry and pays attention to the trends and everything that's going on, had missed this, I imagine a lot of other folks had missed this. So take this as your chance to maybe hop back in the State of Decay 2. It's a really good time. I enjoyed what I played. I mean, there's also just a discussion on value here, because all of the DLC that was out for State of Decay 2, you had to buy separately. Let's say you bought the game alone, $30. You still had to buy the DLC on top of that. They weren't just free updates. There were updates that came out that you could download for free, but the major DLC that is releasing with the Juggernaut Edition, that is now free, was not previously free. So they're packaging in a lot of value, adding on top of what was already there. And ultimately, I think it's become a good bang for your buck situation where you're not going to get a perfect video game. You're not going to get something that's going to blow your mind, but it's fun. It's a good way to just tune stuff out, just sit down, play something a little mindless, maybe flick on a podcast. A good way to detach yourself during these times where you need maybe just something to engage in, something to think about, something to loop you in for extended periods of time. I really think this game hits well in a number of ways. It being post-apocalyptic, maybe not so much, but when it comes to the mechanics, how the game grabs you, and the value that's there, if you're a Game Pass subscriber or you're a PC player, I think this one's a no-brainer, quite frankly, in a number of ways if you have the means. And I'll leave you guys with that. So are you a frequenter in State of Decay 2? Do you like the game as much as I do? I'd love to know. Fire away in the comments down below. Other than that, Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all of the patrons who continue to support this content variety. I truly do appreciate it, especially during these trying times in our world. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to do what I do, and I hope that what I produce for you guys makes things a little easier to digest out in the real world. I'll talk with you soon once more. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.